Hello,
Hello.
hello,
Hello.
hello, and welcome to another episode. Shit, this is the most consistent thing I've done. This is better than my marriage. And us, three kings. Zach has been replaced. He's officially found him dead in the woods. It's very sad. His funeral. If you guys, we have a GoFundMe for Zach's raped by a cougar body in northern Colorado. Funeral's this Saturday. Sad. Moment of silence. So what's new?
Did the maternity pictures yesterday.
Ooh. Did you dress all dapper? How do you like what the hell's a maternity? Okay, do you do like what do you do? What'd you do?
You take pictures of her and you got to hold the baby and like the belly and everything.
Is this going to be like something that I'm going to experience when I come out in June?
It'll probably be out before that, but who knows?
Are we talking Playboy-esque or is this?
Yes, definitely Playboy-esque, Jroc. Like your Tijuana stripper girls.
What about you, Riz?
Had a rough night sleeping, so I'm kind of tired.
Why?
Oh, I guess it's insomnia. I'm starting to get some of that as an older person.
No, you just clear your mind. Do some drugs.
Yeah, Benadryl worked wonders.
Benadryl. Yeah. Jeez. Did you guys see any of the new movies? The Star Wars Solo or any of that shit?
No, not after what you guys said last week.
Yeah, I'm not interested in seeing it either, but what was the other one that just came out though?
The one with Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah, that one, Action Point, but then there's the other one, Upgrade, that action movie.
Which is probably going to be terrible.
It's got a possibility, though. I mean, it's kind of an interesting concept.
Yeah, but I don't know. The movie blocks seems like they release crap, so you go back and see Deadpool and Infinity War.
Oh, that's probably true. Oh, don't waste your time. Go see something you've already seen. You pissed off this week, Riz?
At my lack of sleep, sure.
That's it. Now it's next week's going to be depends. Weeks after that is going to be they're getting rid of senior discounts because they're biased, and that's going to send you in an uproar.
Senior.
Some places are getting rid of senior discounts because it's biased
Against
Serious?
young people? Yeah.
They're like it's biased against young people. Biased, yeah.
Oh, geez.
The millennials started that one.
You worked all this time, Rivs, to get old as fuck to be able to go to Marie Callender's and get
At 3:30 in the afternoon.
To go eat at Luby's for free.
But no, gone. Wasted time.
Because these liberal art majors want to run the show.
Oh, that's why I retired, man. I got a letter from the fucking Social Security Administration saying I was getting $1,300 a month when I turned 60. So those motherfuckers stay solvent, cashing checks.
Just like good old Caruso.
Oh, what an absurdity. Pensions and the fucking Social Security. I mean, the insolvency. They're so insolvent, and people still like now. California, just hear Jerry Brown just said that they're not going to issue bailouts or any help for any of the cities that overextended their pensions with CalPERS. Because what most people don't realize is most of these fucking California cities retroactively 50% bumped all their old pensions from because CalPERS offered some too good to be true fucking it's 3% now, 50% later, and every city took it. And now Jerry Brown's like, yeah, well, rest of us aren't going to bail your ass out. So all these CalPERS and all these fucking smaller cities are going to start going because their shortfalls are huge. They're not even going to be able to pay people out, and they're already paying like it's millions are going in from these companies are going just to CalPERS to cover the shortfalls. So it's not going to be able to sustain itself much longer.
You say that California will do something stupid.
No, there's nothing they can do. There's no money, Andy. It's not like the state itself is solvent. I mean, they also just imposed fucking flushing and water restrictions to 50 gallons per person per household. So if you have a 4-person household, you get 200 gallons per day. And and by 2020, and they like those impositions are going to be met by fines or whatever else. So the fuck is, if someone's growing, if someone's like, you know, doing laundry, that's 40. I mean, you're no lawns. So California's not doing shit. They don't map their water. They don't like they pilfer from Colorado like we talked before, but they have not even mapped their own aquifers. They don't even know if they're past the point of no return of like repletion levels for their aquifers because they refuse to do any kind of mapping. They refuse to do any kind of future things with their pensions. Put people on. So they voted to put everybody on 401ks, right? All the new, you know, the teachers and the public employees. Well, the unions are suing California and fucking saying basically, no, now retroactively we'd have to pay like, it was like 61 million back just in retroactive pay and then no longer be 401ks. It's like, but this is what the people voted for. And now the unions are suing and trying to trump it.
They're destroying themselves. Fantastic.
Well, I mean, we kind of saw that. California, you can't have these liberal policies. Look what it did to Detroit. Look what it did to Baltimore. Look what it's doing to Chicago. I mean, Chicago's freaking out right now because now these black mobs are running through and they're destroying fucking rich white neighborhoods now and deliberately doing it. They're flash mobs. They're fucking social media getting together. There's been like over Memorial Weekend, like several different flash mobs. They arrested 19 kids, not including the 38 murders over that fucking weekend. But they're targeting these predominantly white neighborhoods now. And what do you think those taxpayers are going to? You think they're going to keep fucking staying around? Like they call it white flight, but I mean, if you're being targeted, and that's why it's like the San Francisco BART stuff. You know, there's so many robberies on their public transportation, and they have videos of it, and they just call them teens, and they won't release any of the videos, and they openly admitted it would create a racial bias for BART riders. It's like, well, if they're being constantly attacked and beaten by black fucking people, and you're refusing to release it, people need to fucking know they have a right. You know, and just because it's
also biased,
people, all blacks doing it, you know, get the fuck out of here. It's self-destruction by, I guess, what is it? It's an altruistic thought. You're just afraid. I don't even know how to describe it.
Oh man, they're afraid in general. Like I sent Ribs a video of this little kid. He's like, it looks like he's 10 years old, and he's trying to fight an adult. And it was one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. Like he's pushing him, and the adult is pushing his way through. He's telling him, fuck you. And he's calling this lady a whore. And then the guy just pushes him down, grabs him by the neck and pushes him down. And then he starts to cry.
Well, he started punching him.
Oh, yeah. Then he started punching him.
I mean, that's justifiable. It's not child abuse.
Somebody child abuse. I love it.
You need to send me that fucking video. I want to see that kid getting rocked. I saw one. It was a kid outside Walmart, and he's fucking going up to this dude, this veteran, and he's fucking cussing him out, saying all the same things, saying he's gonna kill him. And then the vet loses it. He's like, "You say you're gonna kill me?" And he fucking grabs the kid by the throat, and he's going on him in his rambling, you know, typical veteran ramblings. And he's like, "The reason I don't carry a gun and I carry a taser," and he pulled out the taser. He's like, "So I don't shoot dumb motherfuckers like you." And they say, and then like the kid freaks out and then walks away and starts talking shit from 100 yards away. It's like I don't even know what to say anymore because, you know, everyone calls you racist, everyone calls you whatever. Because I mean, doesn't matter what country you're in. If you go to the UK right now, if you go to Paris, if you go to Melbourne, like we said, they just lost their safe city accreditation because of the black violence. It's obviously not a social issue. You can't just say it's the United States social issue because this is across the globe. So, you know, IQ disparities, we need to start having these conversations, and it doesn't matter if it hurts your sensibilities. People have the right to associate or disassociate with whoever they please. And this social thing, like, what's it getting to? You're not ever going to be able to get a marriage license in the future until you fuck a tranny, fuck one of every race, fuck a guy or fuck a same sex, just to make sure you're sure. Fuck you. We have a right to choose or not choose. You know what I mean? Like, just as much as you have a right to be born your way or your choice, so do we. It's or to associate or be a problem. I just don't get it. It's cultural Marxism. It's communism. It's taking away people's rights to basically tell other people, get the fuck away from me. Yeah, you have a right to be the way you are. I don't fucking like it. Get the fuck out of my face. and go fuck off on your own.
That's not a problem. It should be that way.
It's been a problem, and and it came out in the civil rights movement, and thank God we had it, but you do have a right as a private enterprise to discriminate. It's been proven right now. Everyone say ABC's firing Roseanne. Samantha Bee might not lose her show, but she's losing a lot of advertisers. Other people have lost shows. Other people are losing things. So, yeah, no. I don't think it can stand. I don't think it's self-sustaining.
There's a lot of anger.
About self-sustaining.
Lots of anger. I totally agree. And it's both sides, and it just eats you up. You can't even, like, I just had a conversation. I don't mean to out anybody if they watch, but online, just because it was a black and a white issue, and I brought it up, and it was the whole group attacks you, and then if you express an opinion outside theirs, you're a bigot, you're whatever else, and you just don't see eye to eye and you don't get it. And it's like, that's not how life is. I'm not something that you say I am because I don't agree with you. It's not how it is. We don't all have to sit here and sit around a campfire and hold hands and figure out why you're you and I'm me. Sometimes fuck you and fuck me. And let's go our separate ways.
Yeah. It's gotten out of hand.
Well, I mean, does it just pop like a zit eventually anyways? Little cyst that just explodes and then, it rights itself?
No, more it's like a prolapsed uterus.
I hate you and Mike so goddamn much. And Dad, you're so lucky you're not caught in this thread. Because now that Mike's retired from the military, sending me prolapse anus photos from, doesn't matter the species either. Oh no. There's no species restricted shit in this one. Okay. It is the most anuses sometimes I regret getting a new, because I don't get very many messages on my phone. I get little notification. I'm like, oh God, if it says attachment image, you got to try to just write as many words as fast as possible until the image leaves your feed. If you're one, I'll give Mike your number, Dad, so you can, No,
I don't want Mike's prolapse anuses.
The Foreigner's gangrene was the bad one. That even got Mike to gag a little.
What was it?
Foreigner's gangrene. It's what happens when you lay in your poop too long.
Oh, man.
So it's like it's mostly on males, but your testicles rot from the outside in. It rots all the way up your groin, onto your legs, and into your belly, and just eats you alive.
Huh. That's like, so if you sit in a diaper, if you're an old man stuck in a diaper.
And you don't take care of yourself. Yep, that's about right. Where it turns into skin breakdown.
These senior citizen homes, this happens there?
Well, yeah. They get taken care of there, don't they, at least?
What do you think this world is?
There's neglect.
Oh.
I'm not going to one of those.
California has done in a long time is try to push Congress to put limits on nursing ratios, because that's the problem. When I started at the nursing home, I had 28 patients to me. It was me and 4 CNAs with 28 patients that were all confused.
Oh, super confused. If you're in an adult home, that's hard, man. I did some volunteer work there.
On the lock units, they're all confused. But after that,
that's where I did a lot of mine because I thought it was the most fun.
Yeah.
Because some guys would try to escape every day, but they weren't mobile. It was entertaining as shit for me.
Yeah, but you get bad care there because you can't sustain that. Anything. You can't sustain anything with that.
That's why robot nurses one day will overtake.
Doubtful.
I don't doubt. Like you say, bedside manner, absolutely. But if 4 nurses were assisted by a team of fucking bots that were writing people, if they had mobility issues, helping them around, hell yeah, they'll help. And it'll be a one-time cost, probably tax deductible by the government, for them to bring these things on.
Yeah. No, because then the government can't put money against facilities and make you pay fines if you have actually tuned. There's state agencies that come in and monitor these places, and then these places just pay them off and then go to the next year to get their licenses re-upped.
How could I've been to some of these places? I just feel pity, nothing but
Go
pity.
to the VA one right off the 5, I think it is. It's terrible.
I see a lot of when I go to the VA. I see a lot of vets as soon as they get released from the hospital. Not a lot. It's not like this fucking army of them, but vets as soon as they're released from the hospital, they just go and fall asleep right in front of the hospital again until they're rearrested, and then drop back off at the hospital. The cops don't know what to do. The hospital doesn't know what to do, and they just
right back on the streets, getting hepatitis A and smelling like shit and piss.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not for giant projects that just keep all of our poor people in poor. And I also don't think just because you're homeless in San Diego, you deserve to have a shelter in San Diego. That's a thing for me. It's like we have the highest density of the homeless populations are in the highest priced places. New York City, Seattle, San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles. These have the highest homeless density populations. What the fuck do you do? Do they deserve beachfront property just because they happen to be homeless in San Diego? Do they deserve?
What are you going to do? Put them on a train and ship them out like it's Auschwitz? Come on now.
No, but yeah, I mean, why not? Why not put them in Iowa? Why not put them in places where there's work out there, where they have shortages of employees, and send them out there? And if you're going to be homeless and you're going to live in government housing, federal housing, it doesn't have to be where the fuck you say it is. I'm not saying this is prison. I'm not saying send them to a camp. But for them to sit here to think just because you made it to San Diego, now the state owes you a home in San Diego because you're homeless.
How many Sears, abandoned Sears do you have in San Diego?
True. None yet. They're hanging on by a thread because their real estate's worth so much. And so they're tied to dying malls out here still. So I haven't seen dead Sears. Sears are still around.
First, Kmart destroyed themselves first, so Sears could live.
Well, and it's because Sears own their land. It's the smartest. That's the reason why Sears is. It's kind of the reason why Red Lobster and those kind of motherfuckers thrive too. The Landrys is because most of the time they own the land they were on. So yeah, I agree with you, Ribs.
So how many big box Kmarts?
I would say that because there's several, depending on there are several abandoned large scale properties. But
that's what we should be.
What neighborhood? So, because they're propositioning that right now in the Koreatown. So in Koreatown, they're basically saying we want to build in the state-owned parking structures for those downtown areas where they're basically all their restaurants make their money from nightlife. All those Korean bars are mostly nightlife bars. Koreatown's very big. Chinatown's very big for their nightlife. And they want to take the state-owned fucking whatever the fuck they're called, parking garages, and build them into structures for homeless people. And as business owners and people living in Koreatown, do they have no right to say no? What do you think that homeless shanty towns bring? So I understand what you're propositioning, but what do these people do all day? So if they're living in a Sears or a Kmart Supercenter, they're sleeping there. So now what? Now they're just left in the fucking.
Yeah, what right do you give property owners? Because those Kmart superstores are usually in strip malls. Sears are usually in malls.
These are property owners first, Ribs. And I'm not saying taxpayers have more right as human beings than anybody else. God, no. But I'm saying this is a complex issue, and I get it because I agree with you. But I think those Kmarts and those Sears would be better as community co-ops, where if you were a jewelry maker, instead of just going only to swap meets or things like that, if malls and things like that were actually for the community, and farmers markets were full time in there, and where people could bring their produce, booth rentals were a lot cheaper because it wasn't a one-time over. These things were there. Food vendors, food trucks. I think that will be the future of what the malls, as we lose 1/3 of malls over the next few years, that'll be their purpose. Because unleashing that kind of homeless around the children, their schools, around shit like that, no. And maybe I'm authoritarian in that aspect and in no other regard. But when it comes to working age men and working age females on the street that do not have children, you have no right to leech off this society and not give anything back and to not work. If you're not taking it, you should be in the woods. If you're living strictly in the woods and you're surviving and it's BLM land and you're living off the grid, that's cool with me. I think every human has a right to exist. But when you're here and you're trying to go get a water for $1 or Taco Bell for dinner while you're standing on a sidewalk or even a hit, or even a bottle of vodka, or even if you're drug free, which I fucking doubt, or your mental health. There's two worlds to the homeless world. Mental health we need to deal with, and then people that are doing it for drugs and just because they check the fuck out. And
well, there's a third. People who went to prison, they can't get jobs.
Working homeless, I agree. There are working homeless. And the affordable housing goes away when we regulate Airbnb, when we regulate foreign investment and third, fourth, fifth, and sixth homes. I think every American has a right to a first and a second home. But when you start getting into strictly investment properties where you never yourself touch and you're now generating income, yeah, I think maybe some regulations as it comes to higher taxes, rent controls. So these people, because there is an affected market, see those things in place to make it so that we don't have working homeless. I agree with you with these felons. When you get to felons and to mainly a lot of the working poor in general, felons can get work on pipelines, and it's in North Dakota. Felons can get work in shitty environments. They just don't want to do it.
I actually agree with you on that because I know people that do that. Felons and come out and work bread trucks in the middle of the night, but not a lot of them will do the work or work at KFC and work 2 jobs to make that happen. Nope. These are people that have been in jail for years. So,
well, you get the problem with the private restaurant owner who makes the felon pay him back, and he takes half of his money as salary. So he's getting $10 an hour. And then he's like, you give me $5 an hour.
You have these motherfuckers that are doing
Molly saw it all the time when she was in the prison.
I know. I agree.
That's a collusionary.
There's exploiting of that system. And to me, I'm not sure where I stand because you served your time, yes, but as a felon, there's a pariah when it comes to society. It's a case-by-case basis for me. Like, I think you should wear that you are a felon forever. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to vote when you're out.
But hasn't private prisons made incarcerating people a profit thing? And so there are people who've been arrested who wouldn't have been arrested 20 years ago.
That's a law thing. They want that for the money.
Yeah, like it is. Yeah. Okay. Yes. We have the most incarcerated people. And yes, it's a system based off of redundancy. It's
why does a rapist get 4 or 5 months while a guy growing
these people
fucking 27 years?
These are repeat felons, Rip. So basically we're saying, because we haven't addressed a real issue. Do we have a population within the United States that is predisposed to crime? And if that is the case, what do we do about it?
Well, and that's one of the things I saw a special on one of the news programs a few months ago about the Swedish prison system. And in America, we do it for revenge. They do it for retraining to bring them back.
How's that working with the rapes right now where these guys are raping 10, 11, 12-year-old girls and because they've never had rape laws on the books, so it's only considered unconsensual sex because they don't have ages. So these guys that are raping 10 and 11-year-old girls are going to jail for 2 years. These Muslims.
Because of the country they came from?
Yeah, Afghan, Syria, they're claiming that illiteracy issues. These grooming gangs across the UK, they're getting, the 2, 3 year, 4 year sentences for rape gangs, grooming 1,400 girls, like the amount of British girls groomed. So yeah, I get you, because they were basically using, this is what Europe's understanding. Their system of laws worked when a majority of their countries were majority European and they respected laws. We are importing a lot of people that have no respect for the law of the land, that actually think that, oh God, well, society is resigning me to minimum wage, or I could go commit crime and have an opportunity for making mad stacks. They'll go choose mad stacks. There's an inherently different issue when it comes to the working poor, a white and a working poor black. One of us comes out with a chip on her shoulder to attain something, and another one comes out with a chip on their shoulder to destroy something, or that they're a victim of it. It's malcontent, and it's not. I'm not saying this is every and all, and this is but as is obviously we're seeing it. Obviously, we're seeing working class poor white kids go to the military for a chance out. Some of them stay in career, and some of them go further. Working poor or single family poor black families go to prison.
Well, you saw a single black kids going in the military. You had black.
Yep, and it's exactly indicative of their population. It's the only stat in the United States that is actually correlated to them. So there's about 13% in the military that's black, and that's what I'm saying. They're leaving. They want out. They want exactly. That's what I'm getting at. So not that. What I'm saying is, by and large, that a majority of us want the fuck out of our shitty situations. Some of us choose hard work. Some of us choose crime. If one group has a predisposition to choose the easy, I mean, you could see it the world over. Go to their countries. Africa's built on stealing. You go to Australia. The new crime waves are from African migrants. UK, France. These are Malmo. These are Afghan and sub-Saharan Africa migrants that are the majority of their crime in countries that had never witnessed crime like this. Ever. I mean, fucking A, Britain is so famous for Jack the Ripper because that's how rare murder. Now they have 460 acid attacks a year. Nice knife attacks are daily. They actually literally had their mayor, I mean, not their mayor, their fucking, like, whether their prime minister, not prime, whatever the fuck their little royal cabinet is, proposition that they have to blunt the ends of all kitchen knives so that they have the sharp knife, but they can't be pointy anymore.
They can slice, but not stab.
Yeah. This is fucking the place that made the Magna Carta, the birthplace, not the birthplace, a champion of freedom. Greece was the birthplace of our democracy, but the utter insanity of these liberal ideologies that are self-destructive and eating. Oh well, they hide stats. They'll straight hide numbers to make everybody else fucking feel better.
Hey, speaking of which, what did you guys think of? You saw that the Puerto Rico death toll from the hurricane was way underestimated. They said 64, and Harvard came in and did research based off of the damage, and they estimate that it was almost 5,000 people.
Yeah, it's because when we do these death stats, nobody counts that when the power is out, people are dying from no water or from dysentery or from no food. So when our asshole stat, that's why when America does our Iraq stats and we only say, oh, we only killed so-and-so million, we don't count the fact that their deaths the year before we invaded were only in like a couple thousands. And after, even though they're not casualty related, are in the millions. It's because there's no more food coming. There's no more electricity. There's no more flush water. Now you're fighting bacteria. Now you're fighting shit that humans were, the civilization got us from. And so we try to hide numbers, kind of like we do it all the world over. It's fucking sad. We're still on Trump though. Nobody in the news is even talking about what you just brought up, Rivs. All they're talking about is this fucking the Roseanne shit and the Samantha Bee shit. That's why I think it's just.
Right now it's about him saying he wants to pardon himself. That's the new thing today.
Trump would pardon himself?
Yeah. His lawyer sent a letter to Mueller that said something.
What people don't understand is you can't bring criminal charges to a president.
You can't, and he would pardon himself if that's the case, per his lawyer.
Because like if you could bring criminal charges to a president, you could bog a president down by constant indictments. The only way to do anything against the president is an impeachment.
Yeah.
So these they're
go after them.
They're goddamn
fully
psychos, man. Isn't there some elections coming up? Aren't people going to go to the polls and masturbate at them and then a computer tells you who your president?
November.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just got our ballots, our primaries.
Jeez.
Oh. And then I get the person who tells me, online, you need to exercise your right to vote. That's what change. And I'm like, what country have you been living in for the last 70 years? When did voting change?
Voting doesn't change. It's a joke. That's why I like George Carlin. I haven't voted in a long time, and it's because in reality, one's masturbating in a poll and the other one's masturbating at home. No different. Did you see that chick in Florida destroyed the paper ballots and she was fucking ordered by law to keep for the recount? and because it was a very close margin that she re-won for, and she had all the ballots destroyed, all the paper ballots destroyed. And to this day, no, this is 2016, and not one criminal charge has been brought against her. They're suing.
Is this from the Bush Gore election?
No. This is just like a couple years, like the 2016, the last the federal one, which it was just like I don't know, a state representative or one of those fucking ones, and she was
a small town person.
Yeah, but she had them all fucking destroyed, all the paper ballots destroyed, and it's like they have to be held by all these for I think it was 78 months. It was a pretty big number, and she had them destroyed right away. No fucking repercussions. This is what like all the journalists and like, well, they're threatening us. It's like when people talk about the day of the rope, they're talking about the French Revolution. There's no way that these people get to keep acting with this kind of impunity and expect not people to be fucking furious. And there's a lot of people out here who are not as well guided, not mentally, not whatever, and angry motherfuckers. A lot of angry motherfuckers.
That's because a lot of people right now aren't educated in that way. They weren't brought up in a place to question anything or to ask questions or see how they feel. It's more what they were told.
So much angrier. Like if you've never been grown up questioning, you've never been grown up doing this stuff, and you always believed and you always did this, you're so fucking angry when you see it so blatantly right in your face. And so the rage for those ones, and because there's no channels, there's no outlets. If you try to discuss these things openly, you're called a racist or a bigot. You're not woke. You're not whatever else. For real though. But the suppression of these ideas is going to fucking bring about, in my opinion, fascism, like a national socialist. That is fucking dangerous for the United States. When we start, focusing on the national, it would not be a white ideology. It would not be in any ideology. But when we start having like a strictly American nationalist ideology, it could be fucking dangerous.
Well, you see it now where everyone's starting to see a little more. And you start seeing it in a lot of the soldiers, like the black families that had one person go to the military and then come out and they're like, what are we doing? Like, what are you guys doing? A lot of the not militarized, but the veterans that went against Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
And like, why doesn't everyone matter? And they're like, why are you all fighting each other? It's the exact opposite of what we should be doing.
Well, then from their side is, you're not understanding. You should just shut up and sit down.
And then you're a racist.
Yeah. I mean, it really is that. It's so, and it's like, to me, it's fucking utter shocking because they're like, to me, you're allowed to have an opinion and we're still friends. We're still this. That's obviously not the case. You're calling me a racist and then you're saying I'm defensive. Well, no shit. You just called me a racist. You just said, if I'm not with you, I'm against you. It's not life. That's not how this shit works.
And then it goes back to the episode of the Boondocks when Martin Luther King gets shot and comes back to life.
Dude, I love that one, and because I love rap's like pretty much all I listen to. Hip hop, rap, like that's all I listen, and old school rock and some like club girl music. Like fucking driving down, like fucking Lil Wayne's, one of his lyrics is, MLK would be proud of me. I do this shit for all my niggas. And I just think of the Boondocks episode. I'm like, do you really think that if this guy came back, he would be like, yeah, Lil Wayne, you've literally taken all these women that I tried to build up, these strong women, you've turned them into girls that shake their ass for you. You call hoes and bitches, and you do this shit for all your niggas, and I'm proud of you. Yeah, fucking right. They would be disgusted. That's what I asked. I was in an argument. Not argument. I'm just trying to talk, and they're basically all attacking me. But I was like, how is it that for Booker T. Washington, a 6-year-old free black slave, he was able to go start the Tuskegee Institute, and it's still a predominantly black school to this day. It's historic. He was able to do all that, and you guys are somehow worse off than MLK's generation. Obviously, things aren't adding up. Booker T. Washington saw that hard work trumps everything else.
Well,
black people put in hard work for shit jobs.
I've got my tin hat on right now. I think that's actually one of the reasons that they took down Bill Cosby, because he kept challenging that narrative and saying, hey, pull your pants up. Don't act like that.
Could have been the rape.
So Rivs, last week we talked about that too, and when they saw him in New York City, like when my mother used to work in Manhattan and they used to film, he was just miserable all the time. Everyone else is very pleasant and friendly, but he was just absolutely miserable. And she looked at me and was like, to me, he was racist. He went after and picked the little fat white kid so that he could make fun of him on his TV show. And he said he just wasn't a genuine person. So I'm not sure if it was a takedown situation or if he really did just roofie the crap out of those girls with Jell-O.
He did, Riz. He did it to white chicks that he did not like. Fucking, I
would love one of them to actually interview on their whole situation on what happened.
You should go fucking see. You can see the current cases in this, the Malmo, the Muslim group, grooming rape gangs. When the fucking husbands went to jail for the rapes, and they interviewed the wives blamed the British girls. They said they dressed too provocatively. It was their fault. These are wives defending their husbands raping young underage girls. So when it comes to the disdain for the white race, it's fucking pretty deep. You know, some people, like, I'm not saying it's a whole thing across the board, but there's a lot of motherfuckers that don't like white people. And when it comes to white women, it's this form of supremacy and degeneracy, and it's violent attacks against white girls. And that's how I view Cosby, the fucking supremacist. And he fucking purposely attacked these women who thought they had power, thought they were safe, thought they were whatever, and it fucking used his power to take advantage of them. Fuck him. He should be castrated. See, we would have a lot less pedophiles if we openly castrated that shit on PBS. You Jello jigglers. And then right afterwards,
Morgan Freeman, that one was a stretch to me.
Which one?
With Morgan Freeman, they were like, oh, he was.
That's a stretch.
That was hugely stretched. That one I could see being them trying to take someone down because he's been open against all that same stuff, and stop with the provocative songs and everything else, and then it leads to this doctor dermatologist twerking during surgery, and then they dig deep into her, finding out that she's got 5 malpractice suits and settled on 4.
That's hilarious. I know she has music videos while she does surgery.
Her YouTube channel is now clean.
Oh, you cannot get better than real life. Jesus. Like that quote, I'm not gonna dime anybody out, Ribs, but I took it for a movie, but this is a real life conversation. And actually, Andy, just the sleeping, basically, friend sleeps with female to male. Oh no, male to female transgender, but it's not gay because she's a female, right? But he also sleeps with a female to male transgender, but it's not gay because she was a female.
We had that same argument again last night. I keep saying one of them's gay.
Sure one of them's gay.
The logic is he sleeps with the female to male, but it's not gay because it's a girl. Gets a handy from a male to female, and it's not gay because it's a girl.
I think it's opposite. If he would have banged the male to female, I think at least he took a chance at banging a female. Banging the male to female makes you gay.
But now I'm like, one of these is gay. I mean, it's
one. I got to call him at least 75% gay. That's a full gay. These are topics you're not gonna get on the Daily Show with Trevor Noah. Okay, guys, these are legit.
Get down.
Oh,
big beast.
I fucking love the world, man. It's too beautiful. People are just.
Well, he's kind of fucked up anyway, and that's the military's fault.
Yeah,
you should have taken him out a long time ago.
I think we should have blamed that on the IEDs.
No, I think it was everything else too, not just the IEDs.
You mean just the life in general?
General life, like he was going into stuff last night where talking about they were in a firefight and he was eating food, and then he's like, "Oh, my special friends drove up in their Humvee and ended up taking the guy out, driving back. Do you want the M16?" And then drove away. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And you got to remember, when that happened, I don't even think Kara was born yet because he left and she was pregnant. I don't know. Those guys are all sorts of fuck. Because why in World War II, in World War I, these guys got shell shocked, but they came back and were successful. What changed? In Vietnam, you could talk the drugs. The drugs really.
You could talk about World War I. The shoot back rate was like 46%. So a lot of these kids just cowered the whole time.
It was less than that. It was 30 something.
It might have been 12 or 13. By the time we got up to Vietnam, it still wasn't even in the 70s. Like for these wars, for the wars that our generation fought in, and you could say whatever you want about video games, but I wholeheartedly agree. Our shoot back rate is 90-something%.
Oh, well, that makes sense then.
We're unheard of. So the amount of things coming back, and also think about here's the difference, is people in those wars taking shots, even getting hit in any other kind of way. An IED, the brain damage that Mike took, a lot of these injuries, they wouldn't have came back from. They would have been casualties.
Oh, yeah.
World War I, World War II had way more casualties. We have kids taking bullets to the head and class 4 Kevlar helmets who are alive walking around today with brain damage, taking hits that no NFL player ever took, because they take those shots to the head. These motherfuckers would be dead. The IEDs, they're scrambled. The difference is the reason these kids are coming back is because so many of them are coming back. A lot of them died back then. Most kids are coming back.
That makes more sense. But then it goes back into mental health issue, because why aren't these traumatic brain injury guys getting the help that they need at these hospitals that can do it?
It shouldn't be military based. As soon as they're released, because the military is not a well-oiled machine.
The VA is now sending people to like Barrows here. They're sending them to the Cleveland Clinic because they figured out they can't support that kind of.
Yeah, I think that as we get, if it does transition more to that, that'll be the future of it, and start saying our counselors are not fit for this. They're Navy counselors, for fuck's sake. No offense, but they're not the cream of the crop. I don't think.
What you did in the Navy, you just threw fireballs at each other inside of locked rooms.
Dude, our fucking ship's doctor on an all-male ship was a gynecologist. So it's just. She gagged when there was when my buddy had a split open thumb and I was down there, and she gagged, and we had to bring in just an E5, a corpsman, which was Mike based, because fucking sew that shit up. So no, it's not a place for it. Mental health, these kind of health issues should be out of the military's hands, and they should be in the community's hands. And our problem is unless you're in a rural area like where my mom is, Conifer, or these where I was just filming the other day, Julian, those have good community outreach research programs for vets, because vets want to fucking leave, right? So they can maybe afford it, get out and go buy a house out in the mountain somewhere and live off their VA pension and have an outreach program that is integrated. But if you're going to LA, if you're going to fucking Boston, New York City, if you're going back home to Kentucky, to a lot of these places, their community outreach programs fucking suck dick. And so if your VA sucks, you're not getting any kind of mental health integration. This kind of comes down to me, it would be more of a blockchain-based and more of a community-based program would be better help for veterans.
It should be, but I don't think it will be.
Well, I think it's going to have to be. You cannot have we're getting to a point of the homelessness on the streets, and when probably 70% of them are a mental health issue, this kind of gets to be almost like a public health crisis, a fucking humanitarian crisis, a civic duty.
But until they break the stigma of mental health, because when you're sent in, so your big push right now, from what I can see, is they want mental health nurse practitioners. So somebody that comes from the nursing field that'll go to school for 3 years to make $105,000 to help these people. But when you they send you to school, where do you go to these mental health institutions? ASH, the state hospital, where it's prisoners, murderers, real crazies. And then they send you to the bedbug-infested county where you see all this, or you see the ones where the guys are just demented, confused, and can't control their behavior. No one's going to want to go into that field. The money's not worth it.
No, but that's why I said a community-based blockchain version where
that's even community-based. You see it there too. Aurora, everywhere else.
This is where I think the blockchain makes the difference. Is if it actually is a profitable enterprise. You know, if the blockchain can control its fundraising, if the blockchain can control its donations, if it has transparency to what they're doing with it, I think that it's going to do a huge thing for charities and for any you know, especially the VA. If the VA adopts blockchain, a majority of their redundancies would go away. We'd see their costs go down. We'd see their information share. I had an appointment to go get checked out for my disability, and because my fucking records are LA and somewhere over in Sepulveda, and I only went to San Diego once, I have to go back again and file to have them sent over. They can't just electronically do it. I can't just ask them to do it. I have to go in, file a petition just to get them to send my records from one fucking asshole. I don't know which VA it's at. It could be at the one in Sepulveda or the one in LA. Went to both. Got to send them an invite, and then I can go get checked out.
That's insane.
Medical records issue from the beginning anyway.
Exactly.
To get everything changed out. You have to give a release of information because your medical records are your private information.
The blockchain would change that. If I came in with the public key and my private key, I could.
You don't want that. You don't want that at all.
Of course they don't.
Because no, you don't want that, because then someone can come in and be like, so this person works for me. I need to see his medical records. You don't want that.
They won't have the private key.
They won't have the private key.
Well, who's going to get the key?
It's you. It's a blockchain. It's literally I guess you don't really work in blockchain. It's like it's literally just a key. You could give them a randomized. You can give them the computer, like the hospital. You're like a one code that could look right into your stuff, but it doesn't actually have access to all your shit. It doesn't have. It's not like this. They have your private key. They have all those keys. It would make it easier so that employers cannot ever ask. It makes so the government can't ask. It would make it so that if you did have violent crime or violent mental health issues, you would be able to be flagged by a federal agency just like that, instead of being hidden like most of these are. If you've been dishonorably discharged, or if you've done any of these other things, there's a public key, there's a private key. I don't think an employer, they already can't do it anyways, can't they? Isn't there confidentiality?
Yeah, but I was thinking you were talking about something else. So this is something you set up to allow them to actually, or you allow the people to use that key for this information.
Just get access to that information, not actually. Yeah, exactly. It's just like in the form of a wallet, right? There's a public key and a private key. Your public key would kind of be like if you were, let's say I'm a state treasurer, right? And I wanted you, I say, oh, hey, we have $114 billion for the state treasury, and the public key is something so that any citizen can go on and make sure they could actually see the transactions. Oh wait, we sent out 14 million for, you know, it's a ledger almost. In the medical version, it would be, oh hey, here's what you wouldn't obviously want on your public key. You wouldn't have your name, your home address, your social security, your all that other shit. Hell no. You would send that through in a more secure version.
Yeah. That makes more sense. I got you now.
But instead of carrying, you know, everyone's got wristbands. You see these people with these medical wristbands. If you're, what is it, celiac, or if you have issues, if you have shit like that, or it would make it a lot fucking easier.
Well, what they want to do is put a chip in your arm if you have a chronic disease, and then they can read everything off of that.
That to me is just because they track too. They do track, and I'm so much individual liberties, man. And if these were truly self-contained, truly you had access to like their RFID shutoffs, there all these other points, but when I'm not putting dick in my body, I guess I already do.
Yeah.
Not like I go anywhere with that. My car, like I don't have an OnStar in my car, so it's not tracked. It's not tracking, but it's got a GPS. If it got access to a GPS, I'd imagine
your car's got some sort of electrical system. It's trackable.
Oh, I guarantee it. It's a 2016. Like, there's no fucking way that because there's no OnStar, there's no shit that I'm calling people and doing stuff like that. But I guarantee there's a trackable, there's a low jack, there's something on it.
You have access to a satellite radio they can get to your car. That's been proven already.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Because if I probably have access,
they're hacking into people's satellite radios to get in to access their cars and turning cars off.
Blockchain right here, man. because that exactly the information of things, which is what my first rule for CoinTrader about was IOTA coin. It's like nobody talks about all these little mini backdoors. Nobody makes security for your fridge, right? Nobody's making these stupid Best Buy commercials. Your fridge can tell you when you're out of milk, and it'll give you a hand job. Yeah, but it's also fucking supplying any kind of hacker with any kind of knowledge to your entire network, jumping into a fucking fridge, and now is literally on your network because they're into a backdoor that has absolutely no security.
And that's the biggest problem. And like the
baby
monitors now, they can get into your Wi-Fi through your baby monitor.
Oh yeah, that's what. And nobody's even realizing it. These IR cameras, people are actually shooting infrared hacking directly into these security cameras, and then they're able to hack the system because IR systems were just always designed as one way. You're looking through a camera, but they have a gateway that goes to the other one. So now they're sending an IR code to the gateway, totally unsecured through your security camera. And this is for main businesses. They've been shutting down. They could do it to banks. They could do big shit. It's because nobody has any fucking security for all these other little tiny devices, which once again, blockchain. It'll help cars. It'll make it so that if your car can or cannot, at your discretion, jump on a public system, if they're making it so everybody has to be on these, that you have to, then yeah, obviously, I mean, we're a totalitarian place and you're fucked. I believe in driverless cars if you actually can maintain what information does and does not leave your car. You should be, it should be nothing but a blip of cars on a screen. Not one should be identifiable. And that's what I think blockchain would bring for the car market, the medical market, all this shit. Which is why they're manipulating.
Okay, that makes sense.
So does IOTA coin do that?
Yeah, that's what information of things go. Yeah, that's what that is. They were the ones that got partnerships with IBM. Because if you saw, Microsoft's building their own blockchain, which is pretty smart. And it seems like IBM's blockchain, oh, that's what we're doing with the IBM blockchain. That might be IOTA because fucking they had contracts with several of these because GE, think of all these fridges. Yeah, you could go start all these companies could go start their own division. And then you can go do all that. It just, to me, is too expensive. Speaking of expensive, I got an asshole stat I was reading about the other day. The University of Michigan has a 100-person staff diversity team, and 31 of those staff make over $90,000 a year. The top one makes over what the president makes. One makes over 400. The next few make like in the 200s, high 200s. And top 30 make over 90. This is just diversity staff. Everyone's bitching about how admission costs get so high. Did we have 100-person diversity staff at every college 10, 20 years ago?
No, but it's not topic.
It's a hot topic, but it's literally these kids are bitching about rising education costs. They don't have access. They're living their lives in debt. College is already unfair, and they're basically doing it to themselves.
They're also segregating themselves as well. Harvard just had a black-only graduation.
California has they opened up their first black-only dorms for public universities at Cal.
Why? It's like just repeat. The history is repeating itself. Why would you say
they want to be segregated? That's what people need to start to understand. Is because when blacks were discussing freedom after the Civil War was done, everything was going, a majority of the black leadership wanted the South. They wanted it to be, they wanted certain states. It was South Carolina, Georgia, parts of Florida, and a little bit of Louisiana, a little bit of Mississippi. It was like a circle. And that was going to be black America. And that's what a majority wanted. And then you had other people like Frederick, and you had people like fucking Booker T. Washington, and you had other politicians, and they're like, a lot of us don't want that. And so when you get down to it, you got these pastors in Texas talking about black states. It's the same, to me, it's the same radicalism as people talking about white-only enclaves. Like, it's like I said, when I'm talking about you have the right to associate or disassociate, I'm not saying I want to disassociate. I'm just saying people have the motherfucking right.
Well, California should.
They already are.
3 states.
They already are. Man, you can't open up. Those chicks got fired up in fucking, what was it, Sacramento, because they refused to serve that black woman when she showed up 20 minutes after the bakery closed, and she started streaming online right afterwards that it was racist. But they'd already turned away 2 white people right in front of her. And the company reviewed it and said, we didn't find what they did was racist. We didn't do it. But because the topic is so hot right now, they finally
go.
So yeah, you can't even stop. You got Hispanics in fucking Hispanic mostly neighborhoods that are getting gentrified, saying, "Get out of our neighborhoods. We don't need your gentrification. You're in America, motherfucker. You don't get to sit here and you don't get to say, you don't get to be in our neighborhood. This isn't yours. If you're first, second, third generation, it doesn't. There's no generation. It's America. Simple. You don't get to define the demographics because it suits your disposition. That's my fucking problem with radical Hispanics. My problem with radical blacks. They don't want equality. They don't want anything else. And we're supposed to make it. We're supposed to be being told right now that, oh man, the whites are going to be the minority. You think these motherfuckers are going to work together? Asians are getting attacked by blacks constantly in San Francisco, constantly in New York City. You think that the Asian community is going to embrace the black community when they are literally targeted?
With the riots.
Koreans are the biggest proponents of the Second Amendment in California because it saved their businesses in the black riots of fucking the 90s. Fucking Mexican gang members getting arrested for trying to ethnically cleanse black neighborhoods. No. I don't want, like, I honestly, I still think that Riv's, like, one day, dude, a fucking, especially with a couple mil in the bank, because all it takes is 14 to start a bank. If you got a couple mil to go buy an area, set up a blockchain, and fucking sell plots of land like they just did for Mana and whatever else, and have a goddamn blockchain city. I mean, if 77 million can get sold for digital land, and if you actually already own the land, already own the subdividable rights, and already had the plan in place, fucking sell a blockchain city. And it's scalable to have the amount of people purchased in. And you have 2 different ICOs. You have 2 different coins. One coin that owns is a set amount, and that would be home ownership. If you own set amounts of these coins, you're home. And the second one was one that did your commerce. It was everything was denominated, like almost like, at one point it was, Mickey Mouse dollars or Chuck E. Cheese tokens, but in reality, digital currencies are actually fucking the Dave & Buster's of commodities. And if you actually do it in a place where you can bring manufacturing and bring jobs and do things and have pensions paid in both currencies, and they can be traded on any exchanges, just as valuable as cash. That's my fucking future.
You're gonna make a Dave & Buster's?
The fucking human version of it. The blockchain Dave & Buster's City. Brought to you by Tampax. Because you know what? We're going to have one of the biggest dams, and it's going to be Tampax Dam. I'm going to sell everything. There's going to be, I'm going to have, I'm going to find out one of the most prominent suicides and name our bridge after it, and take GoFundMe for it. Black Lives Matter Highway, brought to you by Blue Lives Matter Cops, Highway Patrol. It's going to be a good time, dude. Because we don't want to have grandma, so we'll have Graham Zer's homemade pies.
Hamster.
All right,
jeez.
Let's talk about the pedophile real quick.
God, and the thing is, he knows he's not going to win, but
but he just throws this shit out there
because it's their next step. Pedophilia is the culture Marxist next step. Why do you think that they've? I mean, when I look out, I have no problem with these pride parades. But when you have these 9-year-old boys, and the one that's like their most prominent trans is like 9 or 10, Letitia or whatever, he's a white little, but they are hypersexualizing these children, and they're calling it pride. No, that's child grooming. That's child pornography. That's child sexualization. It's disgusting and it's abhorrent. And so these pedophiles, if you notice, it's becoming more and more. Go read some New York Times articles where they're saying pedophiles need compassion and understanding. No, they need a fucking bullet to the back of the head. It's just a normalcy. They're trying to normalize these degenerate acts. And You can see it more and more every day. I fucking sound like a Puritan, but I'm not.
So his quote is he wants to restore liberty and legalize incest for personal freedom. He doesn't think the state should interfere with people's decision. Like if people were to say, well, the genetic equality might not be as good if people inbred. They could say the same thing about a lot of people who have bad genetics who should be passing nothing of those on. These days, there's a lot of genetic tests. We can tell you what kind of things people have.
Huh.
This is the guy you started talking about, the running for office?
Candidate for Congress in West Virginia that decided that he wants incest to be legal.
And he's a pedophile.
And the wives should not be allowed to accuse their husbands of rape.
Oh, he's also pissed because his child rape and pedophilia blog got dishosted. Once it was brought to the attention that he was hosting a fucking pedophile and child rape fantasy blog, it was taken down, and he's pissed off, and he's going to host it in another state. He said it's just about individual liberties, but you should read what that motherfucker talks about. Like, they openly talk about shit.
He went to prison for 16 months for threatening to kill the president.
Yeah, he's the retard that sent that letter to the president.
To which president? Obama?
Obama, yeah, Obama. Obama's fucking gay. Obama's fucking gay as hell. Would be dipped, bad to seal, extra strength.
So that's what we're allowing to happen. So he only needed 1,000 signatures to put his name on the ballot. 1,000.
That's pretty easy. You stand outside of Whole Foods.
And people don't want to get bothered. You can get 1,000 signatures.
Damn, dude. Hopefully he gets elected.
The 10th district in West Virginia, you can go get elected as Congress. You just need 1,000 signatures.
Jesus Christ. I couldn't get elected in California, dude. I couldn't get elected anywhere. I can't. No way. No fucking way.
That's Zach's next move.
You mean Ted Kaczynski? Literally, Ted Kaczynski.
Zach's going in there and doing it.
Ted Kaczynski went to go live in the woods, said if I come back, I'm going to kill somebody, and it became the Unabomber.
Yet. He's just reading the patent papers over and over again.
Glad I bought that shit for him. I'm glad he's fucking reading it. Good. He needs to learn that the fucking United States government executed one of our greatest generals after they realized that communism won World War II.
Yeah.
He's a fucking, when he got there, his first thing he realized is, maybe we backed the wrong horse. Germany was the only one that espoused European values. We just allowed communism to take over Europe. And he was watching Russian troops raping fucking German citizens left and right when they carved it up. Fuck them. Fuck the Bolshevik Jews. The numbers don't add up.
I thought we could get through one episode without the numbers don't add
up. Look, Andy, they don't add up. Okay, how is there not one Canadian team in the fucking Final Four semifinals? I don't get it. The numbers don't add up.
All right, Rivs, come on. You're usually more talkative than this.
I know. I feel like zombie Rivs.
I'm zombie Ribs today.
You definitely have a fucking penis-style haircut.
Let's just pull that up real quick.
Rivs, go ahead and give us a little talk for us. Do us in. What's going on in Rivs' life? Bathhouses?
No. No bathhouses. I really am. I'm in a blog.
Well, how about this? So Forbes released an article on the 31st that said that STEM teachers, STEM fields in general, have the least likely experience of underemployment since 2016, which isn't that long. And they're saying now that, we're going to find it, Homeland Security, law enforcement, firefighting, and protective services had an abysmal 65% underemployment rate.
Underemployment? Wow.
Leisure and fitness posted a cringeworthy 63%.
It's because of their fitness? That's fucking pathetic.
And then there was one about, I'm trying to find that number. Health professions, of course, that's 1 in 4 new jobs by the day.
You said 1 in 4 new jobs is a health profession job?
Yeah, so the data is head-scratching for health profession. Back in 2015, the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics predicted healthcare support occupations and healthcare practitioners and technical occupations are projected to be the 2 fastest growing groups, adding a combined 2.3 million jobs, or 1 in 4 new jobs per day by 2024.
God dang.
That's a whole different argument, though.
Yeah. Fuck.
Because then you could go into the nursing boards and teachers going into not wanting these kids to pass, but here it is. And then it says that major insistence from college education is liberal arts and science majors, general studies, and humanities left a scant 18,000 under unemployed grads after 5 years, while English language and literature had just 16,000 underemployed.
So basically, all those degrees are worthless.
All those worthless degrees, but yet we're having more of a hard time getting.
I didn't realize. I thought English would be tied up there with the lit, but I guess no. I guess we could at least use some English. Of course, nowadays people are saying you shouldn't be discriminated against if you cannot speak properly, and that people need to understand. Like, what employer is going to hire?
We just talked to Sharon Caruso about this yesterday because we wanted to know why cursive's gone. Why is cursive gone? And she said technology in general is what's killing cursive. I'm like, yeah, but you could still teach it. People should know how to properly sign their name.
Right, not
it's
just
going to be, where post your mark. It's going to be fucking people just drawing circles again.
No, it's going to be, like you said, typing your implant to something.
Yeah.
It'll be a DNA. It'll be your sequence. It'll be some other fucking thing, so it's indistinguishable. Fingerprints fucking not totally perfect, but your DNA is.
And then there's these principals getting fired because they don't see the numbers dropping down. And they're firing them out of the elementary schools right now. And it was one from over here that she didn't see the scores falling, but they kept putting money into the office. They kept putting money into everything else. But the student scores kept dropping. There was no performance, no matter how much money they were putting into the school.
What was the demographics of the school?
Our area. North Canyon.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, you saw we started the show talking about the kid that you sent the video of. Yeah. That's how there's tons of kids like that in school now. How do you teach them?
Wait, what was the kid again that was hitting?
I sent you the video, Jroc. Look it up. It's only
wanting to fight.
You sent it to me on what?
Your Facebook Messenger, the thing you never check.
So you're right, Rivs, and I think it's the start charging the parents. If these kids are disrupting classes, if they're doing things like this, we need to start fining the parents and then focusing on expelling children.
Well, why can't we just kick them out?
That's what I'm saying. Expel them.
Back in our day, it was, oh, you're disruptive, get out.
Well, because now they're saying, well, where are these kids going to go? They can't go. That there's no school their parents can't take. Fuck them then. Fuck you. Like, I've seen videos I need to send you guys when it's like a 3-year-old kid and his mom's got him on a leash and he's just throwing things throughout the store, right? Throwing all this shit and just being like totally disruptive.
Is that the Walgreens one where the mom is freaking out?
Yeah, and not even freaking out. The mom's super calm. And the guy's like, you're out of here. Get out. I told you can't come back. And she's like, no, I need to buy my stuff. I need to buy my groceries. She's like, you're out. I already told you can't be here. And the little kid's like, fuck you, saying this to him. And he's like, you need to discipline your kid. She's like, I can't discipline my kid. If I discipline my kid, I go to jail. I don't want that. What am I supposed to do? And it's like, no, if you keep acting the way you're acting, your kid's going to be in jail. So that's the kids you're dealing with. We need to be able to kick those kids directly out of school. And when the parents say, wait a minute, my kid's been kicked out of 3 different school districts, what am I supposed to do? Sorry. Like, society needs to start culling its weak. It needs to start, I mean, we're about to have a massive, not even die-off, but China's going to go through a 50% reduction in birth rates. So they're going to they've been building all these cities. They're going to have, every time that it doesn't matter the race, but every single time you introduce a fluency to it, the kids take longer and longer and longer to have kids. And you have we've never seen the amount of massive die-offs that we are about to have through Japan, China, the United States, Europe, where the replenishment rate has not met it. And it might one day again. So we're not going to have these problems of overpopulation or fucking these stupid things, but we need to get rid of these things. Cut them out. As a society, say, okay, no more. Like, you're letting our kids down, and we need to have more alternative schools. You know, alternative schools where they just, sorry, it's a quarantine, you know, you're disruptive. You're going to get the shitty education you want. You'll get your GED, but we need to stop fucking ruining the main denominators. The fact that 60%, our stats says 60% of our kids are reading and math deficient is obviously needs to be broken out by demographic, by region, and by poverty level. Not to discriminate, just so we can fucking figure these things out. When we keep blanket saying these things, blanket doing them, when in reality, Chicago's got a 6% literacy rate and mathematics proficiency rate. So that's obviously dropping shit. You bring in places like Arizona, it's got a bunch of illegals that don't even speak English and don't. So they're obviously deficient.
But if you're looking in the meth capital of Phoenix, so if you go down to Sunny Slope right now, the Washington School District has the best teachers in the state.
Which would in the
How
meth,
did that happen?
In the meth district?
Sunny Slope High School is the best high school in the greater Phoenix area right now.
For numbers?
That's numbers. Yeah. Highest graduation rates. People are trucking their kids to go to Sunny Slope High School.
Because it's in a nice fucking area? I always thought Sunny Slope was nice.
Have you been to Sunny Slope?
I used to drive past it. Like, I didn't think it was...
Behind John C. Lincoln Medical Center, the meth capital of our area, 5 miles away from Tapatio Cliffs, over 7th Street.
Yeah, I know.
Rampant full of homeless and everything else.
You should know a girl over there. But what's the neighborhood?
The neighborhood's not that nice. It's
working class. It's working. It's been the same Phoenix neighborhood forever. That's the fucking. That's like it's like our old neighborhood. It's not ugly. It's fucking 60s.
That's older than 60s over there.
It's probably 50s.
Well, I can jump in. When I was in my admin's education, the principal and the assistant principal at Sunny Slope was already starting to get accolades of how they were getting their test scores up. And they did a lot of things that got the kids involved in doing and taking the test. They had good test taking strategies. I mean, you could say they taught to the test in some ways.
Oh, okay. So they did the Cartmenez approach.
You know,
not just to get the numbers up, or is that sustaining the numbers though?
Well, it got the numbers up, and then if you're doing it all the way through the district, you're starting it at a young age. I mean, the thing about education is that motivated kids will learn something. We've dismotivated a large group of people, and that's why they're dropping so dramatically. Between smartphones and everything else, you impacted motivation. Motivated people want to learn.
Oh, yeah. Truly agree. How do you get that motivation back? Brings us back to Red for Ed. How do you get motivated teachers on a core curriculum?
Well, and it is how to get kids motivated. It's getting the smartphones out of their hands.
Well, Ribs, I got one more question real quick.
How do I reach these kids?
You had to find them.
How do we reach these kids? How do we make education stylized, fun? And I do agree with the con-style learning system. I do agree with the computer-based learning so that, you know, in being in these rural towns, they don't have AP classes. So if you're going to take AP mathematics, you have to do it online. So,
well, I've seen the thing I've seen with online schools is if the kid isn't a motivated student, now he just has a portal to the internet and he's dicking around. And he's not
open internet to these schools.
Yeah, I mean they're able to. They're not going to go, but they don't just go to con. They can go to other things. that are quote unquote educational.
Hey,
and they're
teach motivate. Okay, so then we need to get down to the core value of what percentage of the human population is self-driven. Can we figure that number out? And if we can we stop setting unrealistic numbers that all these kids should be exceeding?
Well, aren't parents taught that they want their kids to exceed?
Of course.
Even if they're dumb as stumps from the beginning?
You can't be dumb from the beginning. I'd say that parents don't talk to their kids.
All right. Let me just throw two people out there. We'll just do this. I don't want to use that because he's actually kind of nice. He's not very smart, but he's nice. But okay, we'll do it. Ibrahim. If you put Ibrahim with a similar mental capacity of a girl, are these kids going to come out statistically? Are these kids going to come out smarter than they are? Or are they going to come out
the same?
Ibrahim, the girl will do better because the way the system is set up. Girls do better under the modern school system. Boys need to go out and play. They need to run. They need, we call them ADHD, and they're not. They're just, we took away recess. We took away all that stuff. And then we drug up our kids. Girls tend to want to please. They tend to be more orderly. They tend to raise their hand and be polite. And so the system itself has made it that two equal people, Ibrahim and a young lady, the young lady's going to do better. And conversely, not everybody needs to go to college, and we've turned school into nothing but a college thing.
No, to fight that, to fairly fight that, is the reason the college credentials became so important, is that we made IQ tests illegal to give employees. So way before the college became important, it was an IQ test that allowed an employer to test how an employee reacted in stressful situations and what their abstract knowledge was.
Now they test behavioral testing.
Huh?
They behavioral test you without your knowledge. It's not IQ anymore. It's all behavioral.
But what I'm getting at is when we made those illegal, everyone had to go to college because what was the next step? You had to weed out people to see who the best candidate was and made it college. We did this to ourselves when our form of altruism said we have to get rid of IQ tests because they're unfair. Now, how does an employer say, well, fuck, how do I make sure I'm getting the cream of the crop?
Behavioral management. You have your 90 days.
Oh.
No one wants to do trade school anymore.
Oh, true. We don't do trade schools. But let's say we're not doing trades. Let's say we're doing style. Let's say we're a brokerage firm. Let's say we're anything else. You know, when you're doing your hiring. So you're saying probationary hiring.
That's how it works already.
Hiring for 90 days.
Nursing, you see it all the time. You have
90 days really enough?
My orientation was 9 shifts. That's 3 weeks. That's not even 90 days to see if I can handle it. Now, after that first 3 weeks, if they feel I need additional training, that's already a mark against me. And then after that, they send you on your own. If you can't handle it.
Let's assume you're all past it. Let's assume you did it all, whether you busted. Like, let's say now you're 7 years in and you're a lazy bitch employee.
Depends on the company.
What safeguards are there?
There isn't any safeguards if you're lazy.
So Arizona's straight right to work, right? Isn't Arizona
right to work all the time, except
exactly. I'm in California, where it's not right.
Union set, but
so exactly. So in your state, you can actually do smart things like that, and you can actually do merit-based stuff. What do you do when you're in a place like California? What I'm getting at, well, I was just actually basically going off of old man Ribs' shit. Is the reason we brought college in the first place was because of IQ. We got rid of them. So now we put a huge burden on doing a job-seeking employee. I only agree with trades. I mean, I would fucking argue I went to a trade school. Film has no education. I didn't even go to a film school that taught me outside things. I didn't go to English. I did that to the community college. I didn't do any of that in the fucking stylized university. Trade schools are the future. I think we're going to start seeing certifications. I don't think people are going to care about diplomas anymore. I think people are going to care about if you could pass a coding certification, if you could pass a management certification, if you could, whatever. I think we're going to start seeing certifications come across the board from a con style learning where you will do almost like people do for food handlers cards, but more in depth.
Show up to a class, read the book, and take the test?
Not even show up, all online. I mean, you know, certification where you're actually, because I mean, what is a teacher really? Like a teacher needs to be on duty, but their lectures, once documented, are replayed over and over and can teach students consistently. You can be holding 17 different classrooms at once with one lecture that you already filmed. You know, it's a progressive lecture, especially if it's in a STEAM. It's not saying they're not to be updated, not saying they're not to be things like that, but we are not going to have people saying what university did you graduate from, what thing did we are about to have an implosion of universities. We have had so many accredited universities that do not deserve the accreditation, that are going to lose them. Some of them already have, Corinthian colleges, all these nursing ones, you know, ITT Tech, you're seeing them come up with these online ones. We're about to have accreditation implosions of, I mean, Evergreen College is the very fucking first. You know, they had that day without a white, and then they had those mass student protests, and now they've had to do so many layoffs they can't even meet their budget halls. You got places in California doing the same shit. Why is, you know, a person who is a money mate? A lot of people send their kids to college on their dime, you know, and a lot of people making money in this country are right leaning. Why are they going to send them to these universities which are indoctrinating kids and really offering nothing but an indoctrination certificate in return? This shit's going to explode. $1.3 trillion in student debt hasn't been paid. Half of that has never even seen one payment and is in severe default.
Yeah, it's all in defaults. You can go 10 years paying your student loans, and then you can default on them, and then they go away.
I've never, like whatever little amount, like I tell people all the time in the film industry or whatever they went through, if you're working in the film industry, you have an obligation. If you're doing, but if you went and you're doing shit, fuck you, fuck them. If you're serving, if you went and did something else you're teaching, fuck you. I don't think people should be paying. I think they should just collapse the system. I'm forced collapsing. I would want people just to, the more people that default on their debts, all debts, the sooner they're forgiven. People need to really realize that, because they can't come after all these. They have to just wipe the slate clean. If every American stopped paying credit cards, all of them, and just kept the goods, there's not enough sheriffs in the world to come confiscate everybody's shit, to come do everything. You can't do it. Like, honestly, people need to, it'd have to be everybody, but it'd be hilarious. Mass not paying bank loans, mass not credit cards, and I'm talking racking those motherfuckers up too. No, like any medical debt, never again. Just
you don't have to pay medical debt, right?
Well,
they'll
I mean,
after you, but you don't have to pay medical debt.
You don't have to pay any debt. You don't have to pay any debt. All the debt disappears after 7 years. All of it. There's only one that doesn't: student loan debt. And federally backed student loan that doesn't disappear, but those private ones, the Sally Mays and those shit, those disappear. So all debt disappears. This is where I think that if people were smart, and fucking Thomas Paine, man, genius, like especially when it comes to when our American like free thinkers, but it should be about when our country's in a surplus, give everybody a stipend. You know, if when we had, instead of doing our bailouts like we did, if we gave every American $8,000, this cash for clunkers shit we did that cost our country billions, you know, if we just did stipends every generation, every fucking 14, 15, 16 years of a surplus, we would never have debt. We'd have a happier population and a more free population. But that's not the point of the system. The point of the system is constant indebtedness.
You have to work to pay off your debt.
Exactly. But eventually you get to a point, you know, where the entire population's in so much in debt, it is actually in the state's interest to erase all debt. Because we're coming to a point globally, where it is not sustainable. And you cannot have America default and expect that, well, okay, well, China's just gonna place sanctions on the United States, go to war with the United States, or forgive. Like we're coming to a point where what the fuck is the next choice?
The next choice is shipping all of our goods to India and putting China in a chokehold until they forgive all the debt. I think that's what's coming next.
But that means anybody. That's what I'm getting at. Once we do that, we have to forgive the global debt. That the banking cartel can't allow that, Andy. The IMF, these motherfuckers are built on offering nation-building loans with fucking percentages that can never be paid back. They've been doing it over and over. They do it to all these third worlds. They already did it to us. We can't strong-arm China into forgiving our debt because that just proves to the governments the world over that we're worthless and that the only thing that holds our value is us telling you we have value. It's technically...
I just read an article about an orthodontist who had almost $2 million in student loan debts. And he's paying almost $1,600 a month in payments. And that's not enough to even maintain the interest.
Now, $2 million, did he do nothing but hookers and blow on student loans?
Orthodontics.
He went to some top-notch school.
Well, there you go.
Well, see, I'm not, because I also agree. I mean, how do you think these lawyers are fucking, now, like Goodman's, the Goodmans did it right. The Goodmans went to like ASU and then went to like a nice, I think he went to out here in San Diego or somewhere in New York and went to a decent law school where you focus on education and it's not Harvard. You know what I mean? You're not doing something where you're so fucking in debt. It's financial literacy. How many parents push education or push success, but, you know, kids are going out there with no concept. I mean, and not like we have many options. We got 401ks and defunct stocks and basically people saying, okay, go figure out financial literacy. I mean, and then if without the student debt, a lot of people think they'll never get a job in the first place, and you won't get an esteemed job without college. That's for fucking sure.
Right.
I'm pushing trades. I'm pushing my kids. I'm not paying for your college. I'll pay for your in-state tuition. That's it. You'll get fucking community college or in-state. You can go to the military for anything else, or you can go to a trade school on my dime.
Well, why don't we get like Germany and just have tuition free?
Okay. Once again, we have Michigan University, where 1 year alone is $46 million to 16 million. No, it's 16 to $46 million to 100 diversity teams.
Right.
That is one school that is having people making over fucking $400,000 a year, $90,000 to $400,000. That's just the top 31. There's still people making. There's still fucking 70 other people still making 80, 60, 70 for a diversity team.
You would have to defunk all of these schools.
All of them. That's the only way we can ever go to
uselessness.
What is, you know what people don't tell anybody either? Germany would accept American students. So why does an American student go take out their debt just to pay for living expenses and get a free education in a German school? There's other schools that are offering this shit. Americans are cowards and pussies, and they want shit handed to them. They want it right there. They want what they want. They do not want to have to fucking go attain it. They'll work for it, but they'll work for it expecting that it'll be there. You're not allowed to work for something if something's not guaranteed. It's a pathetic ethic.
How much of those German schools are party schools? Because, you know, most of the kids go to college to get drunk.
Well, yeah, it's not. Most kids don't go to college to get drunk. Too many people are going to college because that's all of our parents fed us, Andy. Our entire generation grew up thinking college was it didn't matter what. It just mattered college. Even though nobody rationally said, wait a minute, 18-year-old kids aren't making good decisions. Maybe we should let them go work for a couple of years, travel for a couple of years, figure their shit out, then go get an education. All we ever got fed. And so a couple of us figured it out. Like we said, me, who went straight away. And then you had the Texas and the Mike Caruso's and a few others that learned it early on. Oh, shit, it's not working. And then go to the military. There's kids that wash out after 2 years, restart up 4 years later, have to redo the 2 years they took because that shit already passed. That shit was fed to us, force-fed to us. It was an ideology our parents lived and espoused. It was they fucking believed it. And 2001 happened. And then fucking, not 9/11. I'm talking the market crash. But it was sparked by 9/11. And then that's when you saw huge wipeouts. Shit never got better. The job market never got better. A group of us went, the college group of us went to the military. The smart ones went in STEM and fucking medical fields and things like that. And the stupid ones went and they got general education. They got education. They got business management. They got poli-sci. They got psychology. Any other dumb fucking degree. And there's no – if colleges were ethical, they would say when you went to the admissions department, no matter what your degree was, they would say these are the jobs that you could get if you were in these degrees. These are how much they take annually. This is the competition. You know, you got to understand right now, every year there are X and X applicants and X graduates and so many jobs. And if people started taking calculated decisions on, wait a minute, and this is one thing I took from the military, and this is when I was in A school, and I'm a smart guy, but I was in a very smart rate. And I'm studying for tests and doing shit like this. And my instructor said, he's like, if you're not going to be top 3, he's like, that's the only people they get to choose their rates. The only people they get to choose what ship they go to. They get to do whatever. He's like, you're just wasting time. He's like, if you're not going to be top 3, just graduate, just be whatever. And it didn't mean be lazy. It didn't mean be whatever, but it did mean think about what your prospects were. And I got stuck with the USS Cleveland. I mean, he's the same guy that laughed and said, well, hopefully he gets decommissioned when he gave me my orders. Because you got to get to a point. You got to know your abilities. And I'm not saying they're a hindrance, and I probably could have, right? Like I probably could have said, okay, Jroc, you could be number 3. You could sit here. You could spend, but I didn't. I went and I was like, okay, let's go build my body. I went to the gym. I took whatever hour I was off outside of them, and I started reading books, just watching movies, doing and lifting weights and doing shit like that because I understood the bargain. Our college students don't understand the bargain, and they're jumping in with high hopes, and no problem with high hopes. High hopes and work ethic will take you far, and you might even be the one that's not even graduating in the top 50% of your class, and yet you're the top 3% in whatever job it is just based off your skills. But we need to start having that conversation with our kids and saying, fucking think, analyze, then decide.
Yeah.
But we don't prepare our kids for that. And that's a parenting problem.
You're about to be one, so you can change the mold.
But our parents did change the mold.
I love my parenting. You know, like the only thing that I like, when I first switched and I was like, I'm not going to do mathematics anymore. When I was at Scottsdale Community College, I'm like, I'm just going to focus on math. Mom's like, you need to have a fallback plan. You need to have this. I was like, no, I don't. You do. You might want stuff like that. I don't. I don't want to make those decisions off those things. So, but you guys gave me the freedom to do whatever the fuck I wanted. There's great parents out there. Great parents. What I'm saying is so many people rely on the state. They rely on their idealism, and they don't have the balls to tell their kid, hey, analyze yourself. I mean, shit, Rivs, you did when I was in 6th grade playing football, and fucking they had me at lineman. And I don't even want, maybe because they hated me, I'm just getting smoked. And you're like, look, you can lie to everybody else, but you can't lie to yourself. Do you want to be out here? And I thought about that every day. I still think about that shit to this day. Because you can lie to everybody else. You can save face. You can do everything. But where do you want to be and what are you willing to put in for it? And we don't have those conversations with our kids. And without that conversation, a kid cannot look at himself reflectively, not self-destructively, and say, okay, man, assess my abilities. And if I do have shortcomings, can I fix them? Can I go about them in a different way and maybe put in a little more effort, maybe do something else and go around it? Or is this maybe not the right thing for me? And do I think I love it based off something else and I can go find other things? It's an entitled mindset of, I mean, look at me. I only put my things in for film. I'm not going to hate myself if I don't get it. I'm not going to fucking blow my brains out. I'm not going to but you cannot tell your kids everything's attainable. All you got to do is try. Because you're going to set them up for a time when they're like, oh, well, why am I not where I want to be? And maybe they don't have the balls to figure it out then. Because you didn't fucking feed them. Feed them and say, you know I love it. I can sing that song all the time.
But then you're talking about entitlement, And then we go back to bad parenting, because most of the time when you're entitled, it's because your parents don't put you back down to that level.
Checked.
Why did people buy these houses at 18 years old and then got screwed?
I did. I bought my first one at 21.
Yeah, but look at the parent. Like, look at these young families that bought these houses, and they're like, "We can't afford this."
Oh, those. I mean, I would say
that put into your body years ago. Like, why did? Biggest example: my ex wanted us to move to Scottsdale. I was a brand new nurse. She was in nursing school. Let's move to Scottsdale. No. Who can afford that? That's not a sustainable living.
Or if you do, you're going to waste all your chance.
Yeah, it's stupid.
People want instant gratification. It's a lifestyle. It's more about the appearance.
Well, look at it. How many people want to go to San Francisco and live there, or California or New York? If you're a young person right now, you should be moving to the Midwest.
Right.
That's where the cheap homes are.
Motherfuckers want lifestyle, Ribs. They don't want thought. Like, look, like Joey right now. I mean, motherfucker's got 2 houses. One was at, fucking 15 grand, puts 10, 12 into it. They're selling for 50 over there. Joey's work's retired. So there's ways. I know there is people that did the smart thing in Phoenix that I'm not like that. At first when I was running from Phoenix, I'm like, what the hell is there in Phoenix? The people that stayed in Phoenix, the Andys, these other kids that went and got their education there, now got jobs, got good houses in a low market, and actually set themselves up to be successful in the future based off an equity market that I see no bottom for. Not Phoenix compared to the rest of the world, not Phoenix compared to any civilized place on the West. Phoenix is still some of the cheapest. So there's some people there. You guys there's good opportunities in places that you're born. None of those opportunities happen for Californians. Like, there's no fucking way. No way. I got a flyer on my door today for a house right down the street that says open house, $614,000. I'm like, $614 for these 3 bedrooms? This angers me. I was at the dinner the other day with the client that I was filming with and talking about my house in Vegas versus this house. And she's like, so houses in Vegas are big. And I was like, compared to the fucking price, like what you're paying out here, you got a mansion. Fucking mansion. I don't understand how any working class couple could stay here. There's no way that people's jobs keep them in California. No fucking way.
It does if you're in healthcare, if you're in technology or something different.
Yeah, technology.
Maybe not in San Francisco, because that market is just absolutely asinine.
Dude, drive through Utah right now, Andy. When I drive up to 15 to go visit my dad, there's a new Silicon Valley right there. I drive past Adobe. I drive past all these premier fucking chip developers. They're moving because their employees, like especially now that they just got hit with that extra tax we talked about the other week.
Yeah,
they're paying $270. So Amazon's not obviously going to shut down their plant in California, right? But they were planning on adding 20,000 jobs. They're not anymore. So why would they add? So they're not going to shut down their plants in Cali. They're not going to shut down their development in Cali. But they're sure shit not going to expand. And when time is, it's kind of like Georgia right now, film wise. Go, skip. The planes are getting nothing but faster. Pretty soon we're going to be able to jump on commercial supersonics. We'll be 2 hours anywhere in the globe, and this is going to be commercially available. This is not like we're fucking doing this when we're in our 60s. We're going to be doing this shit soon as fuck. Very soon. So people need to stop being tied regionally. They need to stop being tied to shit like this. That's an American fallacy. Only 15% of us have our passports. There's 350 million of us. Now, I'm sure 40 million are illegal, so we can't count those motherfuckers. But 15% of us have our passports. That's fucking terrible. This mindset, it brings us back to this American exceptionalism. It's that this is the best country in the world. This is my best opportunity. Lately, it's not. For you, it is, Andy. I'm not telling your ass to run.
Well, I'm not leaving.
No, and you're in a great spot. In trades, like whenever I go, like sometimes I donate blood or sell plasma, do shit like that, and like I see the kids I see with the trade books, the kids that are learning welding and shit like that. I don't say anything, but I know. I'm like, you might not get it yet, kid, but you're going to be fine. There's not going to be a robot welder spot welding and doing shit like that. Fuck no, not for a while. So we just demonize shit for too long and call these kids stupid. We call mechanics stupid. Anybody that worked with their hands stupid instead of geniuses. We should have been calling kids mechanical geniuses. Like we call kids that are artistic geniuses. No mechanical kids we call geniuses.
No, they just keep calling them artists because they want to weld.
Right. So they'll weld a bong. Really
Yeah.
Bong. And they'll weld other shit. And, you know, they'll do great work with, like, wrought iron and stuff like that. And they're great wrought iron fucking artists. They're actually making gates and shit like that, too. Yeah, that's all that – exactly. It should be called – you're right, artisan. That's what they are.
Yeah.
They are artisans, but we demonize that trait. Why? Because you work for yourself. And it doesn't work in an industrial world. Artisans have no –
They try to put you under as a union.
Of course. And we've been seeing fucking people, fucking workers revolting against our unions left and right. I think it's Seattle or it might be California just had the right to go against their own union. So the workers can basically tell them to go fuck themselves, not pay the dues anymore.
Well, that's the whole point of the union. You have to bargain.
No, but I meant like, what if you don't want to be part of the union? What if you just want to have a job for the company and negotiate your own contract? I mean, it's like Thomas Paine said, when you have a federal minimum wage, the wage is going to stay at that point until the feds get involved again. The market's going to change. Inflation's going to change. Your negotiating power is going to change. When you make something a law, it never is changed until the lawgivers get involved again. Should have never got involved in money. Should have never got involved in wages. Like I came up with a new tactic, right? How I'm going to pay for my film sets and do things like this. Everyone's getting minimum wage. You'll just get incentive-based bonuses. And you can never call me a discriminator. You can never say it's anything like that because you can't. If you pay everybody minimum wage and everything's fucking bonuses and everything's
because results will get you more money. That's how it should be.
Exactly. And that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say you bet your ass, and I'm gonna have the stats of how many people actually make minimum wage. Odds are it'll be zero. Because if they're making minimum wage, they're not gonna be there. It's only gonna keep the people that are fucking actually earners, that are good at their shit. It's a joke. It's a parody. I don't understand. Like all these things, they were made. Government was made as a safeguard. I get it, but it has become a fucking parody.
Yeah, I'm starting to fade here. So
you faded this whole time, Rivs.
I know.
I feel like you didn't put your earphones in because you're fucking just you're not even listening. You're just Alzheimerly sitting there, can't even figure out how to press play, trying to think you're watching YouTube. And it's fucking, honey, it's just two faces. I can't figure it out. Isn't the World Cup on today? All right, fuckers. And you want to go play some video games?
Yeah, probably. For a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. I got to do shit later. Let's play for a little bit.
Talk to you guys later.
See you later. Go get some sleep.
Later. Yo, thanks for watching.